Hello, everybody. I know this is so weird. I think I'm on. How are you guys? Um, anyway, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. It's a bit unorthodox because I am in a car on my way to a book signing, and traffic went from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours. And so here I am. And I wanted to come on and talk to you guys, so because I felt like I would just be letting you down if I didn't. So thank you for joining. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to do a little bit of the show here. Look, the thumbnail says "Tired of Trump's BS," and um, I believe last night it showed at this Univision Town Hall that Donald Trump did. And by the way, thank you. It's BJ Jones says, "Hi, Don. We see you." Thank you, BJ. And we're going to put your comments up on the screen because we can now. So put them up as often as possible, Mickey, and I would love to just read what people are saying. But it appears that the folks there did not buy into the BS, the Trump BS, and is not buying into the crazy MAGA. Hello, Don and Lemonation, says Farida Bullock. Hello to you. And so I just want to go through some of the things that happened last night. And really, the most contentious moment, you can tell me if you're fed up with it. I thought your book signing was at 7. It is at 7. If I had left, I would not even get here at 7 o'clock because the traffic is so bad. What I was trying to do is to get here in time to be able to do the show live from the event and then go and do the event, right? So that I wouldn't be rushing and I wouldn't make it. But that didn't work out. So I just want to play this clip. This is probably the most sort of egregious moment last night that caught all of these people off guard when he was asked a question from a town hall attendee asking, hey, I want I want to vote for you. I would like to. I did, but January 6th and some of the other stuff was just a bridge too far. How do I earn your vote back? Watch this.
I am a Republican, no longer registered though. I want to give you the opportunity to try to win back my vote. Okay. Your, I'd say, action and maybe inaction during your presidency and the last few years sort of, was a little disturbing to me. What happened during January 6th and the fact that, you waited so long to take action while your supporters were attacking the Capitol. Coronavirus, I thought the public was misled during coronavirus, and that many more lives could have been saved if we would have been informed better. And also people in your administration who don't support you. I'm curious how people so close to you and your administration no longer want to support you, so why would I want to support you? If you would answer these questions for me, I would really appreciate it and give you the opportunity. Your own vice president doesn't want to support you now.
Thank you, Ramiro. So the people that don't support a very small portion. We have a tremendous, about 97% of the people in the administration support me. But because it's me, somebody doesn't support, they get a little publicity. The vice president, I disagree with him on what he did. I totally disagreed with him on what he did. Very importantly, you had hundreds of thousands of people come to Washington. They didn't come because of me. They came because of the election. They thought the election was a rigged election, and that's why they came. Some of those people went down to the Capitol. I said peacefully and patriotically, nothing done wrong at all, nothing done wrong. And action was taken, strong action. Ashley Babbitt was killed. Nobody was killed. There were no guns down there. We didn't have guns. The others had guns, but we didn't have guns. And when I say we, these are people that walked down. This was a tiny percentage of the overall, which nobody sees and nobody shows. But that was a day of love from the standpoint of the millions. It's like hundreds of thousands. It could have been the largest group I've ever spoken before. They asked me to speak. I went and I spoke. And I used the term peacefully and patriotically. If you look at the Democrats, what they say, you look at Maxine Waters and you look at Hillary Clinton. And
Okay, so look, it's like a child when a child says, when you say, "Who ate the Cheetos?" and you see the orange Cheetos all over their mouths and their hands, and they say, "It wasn't me. I was just holding the Cheeto bag for my brother or my sister." There was so many lies in there, right? It wasn't peaceful. Obviously, we know that wasn't true. And by the way, for those of you who are saying, in the comments, like that guy was amazing and was quite a gentleman and quite smart to ask those questions. I thought that was a very good question. I love this man's body language. Thank you. I agree with that. Free spirit. Skydink says, "Hey Don, hi Tim, hi. Trump is a pathological liar," says Magnum VA 31. Yes, that's true. We know that to be true. Okay, because we have pointed out like all of the lies that he's told and that he's spoken. And so just in that one moment, you're right, his narcissistic behavior, it was on display and at its finest. He didn't really answer the man's question at all. You saw the body language. And when he said it was a day of peace, that guy like flinched so hard that I thought he was gonna, you know, hurt his shoulder or his neck because he knew it was a lie. Do you believe that he won that gentleman's vote back, his trust back? There were no guns by the rioters on January 6th. Really? Says Effie. There were guns and there were weapons. All you have to do is look at the reports. There were guns. This is why we're talking about this, because this is a big deal. This election is going to be won on the margins, which means that each candidate needs support from every single different demographic. As much support as they can get, that's what they have to do. And the reason I'm talking about this is because Latino voters have been drifting to the right over the last couple of years, really for the last decade, okay? Even though he came down the escalator and he said, I talked about immigrants, he said that Mexicans were rapists, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists. He has referred to immigrants as animals and killers. More recently, he said that asylum seekers from Central and South America are poisoning the blood of the country. He said that they are genetically predisposed for violence and crime. And yet, despite all this, he appears to be poised to cure a historic, really perhaps a historic percentage of the Latino vote this election cycle. Why is that? Why do you think that is? He was asked a question about immigrants during the town hall last night. Here it is.
Soy un republicano, registrado republicano, pero en este momento me encuentro indeciso.
Good evening, Mr. President. I am a Republican. I am a registered Republican, but at this time I am undecided.
Durante la campaña se han utilizado muchas teorías de conspiración.
During the campaign, there has been some conspiracy theories in use.
Le doy un ejemplo si me permite.
If you allow me, I would like to give you an example of it.
Las autoridades de Springfield, Ohio, han aclarado una y otra vez que los haitianos no se están comiendo los perros ni los gatos de sus gentes.
The authorities in Springfield, Ohio have more than one time clarified that the Haitians are not eating their cats and their dogs.
Sin embargo, usted les quiere revocar su permiso que tienen para residir legalmente en este país.
Nonetheless, you want to revoke the permit they have to legally reside in this country.
Mi pregunta con todo respeto es si usted verdaderamente cree que estas personas se comen las mascotas de la gente.
My question to you very respectfully is, do you really believe that these people are eating the people's pets?
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And this was just reported. I was just saying what was reported. That's been reported.
Pause, please. Pause the
and
soundbite.
eating other things.
There was no report of that. In fact, it came from him and from a conspiracy theory that was started online and that J.D. Vance repeated. There's no reporting. Every single report from the community, every single official has said that there are no reports of any of it. There's no legitimacy to it at all. The initial thing that started with a woman saying that her cat was missing and she believed that one of the immigrants had eaten her cat. They found the cat in the basement, and there is a news report on it where she said that she found her cat and she apologized for putting that message out there. There are no reports. That is a lie. Okay, keep going.
Too that they're not supposed to be. But this is all I do is report. I have not. I was there. I'm going to be there, and we're going to take a look. And I'll give you a full report when I do. But that's been in the newspapers and reported pretty broadly. I will say this as far as Springfield is concerned, because I do know that situation. You have a city of 52,000 people, and they've added almost 30,000 migrants into the city. If you were a person that lived there, if you lived in Springfield, Ohio, and all of a sudden you couldn't get into a hospital, you couldn't get your children into a school, you wouldn't be able to buy groceries, you could no longer pay the rent because the government's paying rent, any of that, if any of that happened, it would be a disaster for you, and you wouldn't be happy. We want to make our people safe and secure, and we want to make them happy. But Springfield, Ohio is a perfect example. You have a town, a beautiful little town with no problems. All of a sudden, they have 30 or 32,000 people dropped into the town, most of whom don't speak the language, most of whom don't speak the language at all. And what they're doing is they're looking all over for interpreters. Well, I mean, I think you can't just destroy our country. It's maybe some people disagree with me, but you can't put in a very short period of time 32,000 people into a 50,000 people town and expect things to go well. It's a disaster. It's a total disaster. And the people that live there are, you know, they want to leave, they want to move, because if you read about it or talk to them, people want to move, they want to leave because they've never had anything like this. And we can't let that happen to our towns and our cities and our country. Just can't let it happen. It's not sustainable. I appreciate the question. Thank you. I hope you vote for a Republican.
Okay, so here are a couple of things. I hope you vote for a Republican. Here's a couple of things. It's not 30,000 people in one community, right? That's an exaggeration or just a flat out lie. It's not that. These people also, especially if they're Haitian immigrants, they speak French, they speak Spanish, and they also speak English. And so this whole idea about they're running around looking for interpreters, he just made that up off the top of his head. Okay. So just remember, and people believe it because he's a cult leader. And so they believe him, sadly, but they do. Every city official, including the governor of Ohio, says that these folks are, obviously some of them, most of them are there legally, and that they're actually contributing to the economy in their town and in their city. They're actually going to the grocery store and buying things. They're providing a customer base for a town that had been struggling after the pandemic because of the poor handling of the pandemic by who? The former president. Their town had been suffering. And so now they have possibly a new tax base, they have a customer base, and there's more money that's coming into their community. Most of the people there, if you talk to them, and I've heard them, I've watched their council meetings, they'll tell you they don't want to move. That people are coming in and taking abandoned houses or houses that were dilapidated in the neighborhoods, and they're fixing them up, and they're mowing the lawns. And they're doing the jobs that businesses needed because so many people had left the community. Now, there may be people there who don't like the community because the people no longer look like them, right? Air quotes. But that's what's happening. If you're watching us on TikTok, by the way, you can go to YouTube to the Don Lemon Show channel and you can participate and get your comments read and your concerns, and we're going to put some of them up. Nikki, if you can put some of the comments up or questions if you have them, and we'll respond to them. But I want to know what you think about this town hall. What do we not want is a president who is spreading rumors, says, as a Haitian man, this is offensive, says Bruce Morrow. It is offensive because It's not even a stereotype about Haitian people. It's just a flat out lie and a demonization of immigrants. It's just a flat out lie and a demonization of immigrants. The subject of school shootings also came up. Let's play it.
With respect, could you explain your gun control policy to the parents of the victims of school shootings?
I could. We have a Second Amendment and right to bear arms, essentially. And I'm very strongly an advocate of that. I think you need that. I think that if you ever tried to get rid of it, you wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be able to take away the guns because people need that for security. They need it for entertainment and for sport and other things. But
So, I'm not sure exactly if he answered that man's question. Now, I have to tell you, it's frustrating for me, and I'm sure not half as frustrating as it is for the folks who were there. Um, because I was in Uvalde, Texas, which was a heavily Latino community when so many students were killed there and faculty. And I saw the faces of the people, and I went to their church services, and I got to meet some of them and worship with some of them. And to think that there cannot be any sensible gun legislation in this country, not taking anybody's guns, but having some sensible gun legislation, I think should be a priority. I think understanding the Second Amendment and knowing that the Second Amendment is not all encompassing and sacrosanct. There are rules and restrictions that go with every single thing in our culture. We have speed limits. We can't drive race cars on the street with powerful engines like that. When I'm moving in this car, I have to wear a seatbelt or I get ticketed. So to think that the Second Amendment is somehow defies all of that is just that actually defies logic. Climate change, also a big discussion that came up. Here it is.
Thank you, Mr. President. For 30 years, I've been working in the construction industry and building water plants in Florida. I've seen with my own eyes the devastating impacts of climate change. Things that include sea level rise, saltwater intrusion in our drinking water supply, frequent flooding of our coastal communities. Given the amount of the mounting evidence of climate change, do you still believe it's a hoax?
well, let me tell you, first of all, I built, Okeechobee Dam, and I did so much for Florida in terms of when I was president, and even as a private person, I built a lot. But I did the Okeechobee Dam, which solved a big problem from the climate standpoint. What I do think is this: we can't destroy our country over being forced to do things. They want to do I call it the Green New Deal. They call it the Green New Deal. Some people call it the Green New Hoax. They want to spend $93 trillion on the climate. Now, I happen to think that there are very important elements of climate: water and air. In my administration, I had the cleanest air on record, and yet I didn't destroy jobs. I had the most jobs of any administration ever. I also had the cleanest water, crystal clean. We had the cleanest water, the cleanest air. To me, those are the primary factors: clean water, clean air. We went into rural parts of the country and fixed people's water. They were drinking such terrible water. It was very important to me. All of that's important. At the same time, you can't give up your country. You can't say that we're not going to have any jobs anymore. If they took their ultimate, which is $93 trillion, the Green New Deal, $93 trillion, that's more money than we would have in 20 years. We wouldn't be able to survive. We wouldn't be able to live. Mm-hmm. So I always feel that with the climate, and I have been I have been an environmentalist. I built many things. I owned Doral right next door, and we did that in a very I got awards, environmental awards, for the way I build it, for the water, the way I use the water, the sand, the mixing of the sand and the water. I mean, many different, but I've had many awards over the years for environmental, the way I've built, because you know about building. That's what you do. It's very important to me. At the same time, we can't destroy our country. And we're competing against countries that don't spend anything on climate change, like China and others. And they're able to make their product for tremendously less than us. And we're not going to let that happen either. We have to have a strong country, and we have to have a nice climate. And there's nobody better at that, I think, at that combination than me. I will say this, though. I hear a lot about climate, and they talk about global warming, et cetera, because they now used to call it global warming. Now they call it climate change because that covers everything. But global warming. The real global warming that we have to worry about is nuclear. The water's coming up 1/8 of an inch over 300 years. The ocean is going to rise, and nobody knows if that's true or not. But they're worried about the ocean rising 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch in 300 years. What I'm worried about is nuclear weapons tomorrow.
Okay, did you get anything out of that? That was, it's interesting because they always talk about Kamala Harris and word salad, right? Sometimes the answers could be better from each of the candidates, right? Sometimes Kamala Harris can answer better, but at least she speaks in complete sentences. And I actually thought last night, the interview on Fox News, I thought she did really well. So for the folks on YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you like it. The folks who are watching us on TikTok, make sure you hit the heart. Or if you're on TikTok, you may want to go over to our YouTube channel so you too can get your comments and your questions on as well. I would appreciate it. Okay, so I want to play something. This is the former President Trump was also on a conservative podcast today, somehow making fun of the vice president and what ethnicity she is. Still doing that. Here it is.
Like me, and I think black women do too, but they have a woman who is black, although you would say she's Indian, but she is black. But she really, a lot of people didn't know, which is true. But
I learned about it just a couple months ago. The fact
that she's black,
yeah.
Or that she's Indian.
The fact that she's black, I thought she was Indian until a couple months ago. Things change.
A lot of people. Well,
because if you follow baseball, Sammy
right.
Sosa kind of, you
Right.
sometimes have to respect people. They
Sammy.
change, right? So I thought maybe she was doing a Sammy Sosa the other way.
Yeah,
around.
Sammy's changed.
Right.
People change.
If you remember Sammy Sosa,
he could hit the ball.
He could hit the ball 66 home runs.
Seriously.
You guys know do you know the Sammy Sosa story, right? Someone just asked me why I'm on the road. I just explained to the folks on TikTok, and I explained earlier here that I was supposed to do my show from the event, but I didn't get here in time to do it from the event, and I have to set up, and then I have a 6 o'clock dinner, a meet and greet, and this is all part of my book tour. So I have a meet and greet, and then I do the book event from the bookstore. But I am in Oyster Bay, Long Island. So if you're in Oyster Bay, these guys are 100% racist. Yes, Lizzie, that is. I'm glad you're saying it. So I'm in Oyster Bay, New York, and I'm going to Theodore's or Teddy's bookstore here. First, I'm going to have dinner with the former Congressman Steve Israel. He owns the bookstore here. And then we are going to be careful. Thank you, Coco 523. I appreciate that. And so, yes, these guys are racist. Basically, what they're saying is about Sammy Sosa was a dark-skinned Latino man, a brown-skinned Latino man, and then somehow bleached his skin or became lighter. And so they're making fun of him and her, making fun of her by saying all of a sudden she became black, like Sammy Sosa became white. Yeah, it's racist. But what do you expect from that crowd? What do you expect? And that's what folks are hearing from the MAGA folks and from Donald Trump this election season. One of my friends who is taking them to task is my former colleague, Ana Navarro, over on CNN, and I think she did a really good job of it. Watch.
I mean, did you ever think that 44% of Latinos are supporting Donald J. Trump? That's what's going on today. African-American community supporting Donald J. Why? Because his policies worked, and they lived under his policies, Anna. They lived under his policies, and now today, today, the Latino community is being choked by inflation.
Let's look at the poll, the numbers you're talking about, the latest New York Times Siena College poll, likely Latino voters, Harris at 56%, Trump at 37%, which is a much lower margin for a Democratic nominee that they've had over the past 3 elections.
Look, I think there's a lot of things going on. One of the things that I found really interesting about that poll also was that the majority of Latinos think that when Donald Trump is making anti-immigrant remarks and when he's making, talking with racial slurs and the things he says that we all have heard him say, they think it doesn't apply to them. And I have a really hard time understanding that because when the shooter showed up at the Walmart in El Paso and shot 22 people, and then there were another 22 victims, he didn't stop to ask the people if they were legal or if they were undocumented. He just shot people because they looked like Latinos, and he went to El Paso because it was where Latinos went, and he was hunting down Latinos, inspired by anti-immigrant rhetoric. And so to me, it boggles the mind that somebody who looks like you, who looks like me, who sounds like you, who sounds like me, think that when he is making anti-immigrant racial offenses, it doesn't apply to
April, I
them.
want to give you the last thought.
I think Anderson, when President Trump's talking, he's talking about criminal folks that are being sent to our country. He's not talking about Latinos that are coming here to work hard. There's a process to come here to work hard.
Do you think that a racist is going to ask you for your immigration papers? Do you think a racist is going to ask you for your immigration papers?
Anna,
do you think the person...
Latinos believe and they know that President Trump is not a racist.
Oh, really?
He's a business owner.
That's why he got investigated by DOJ for not ranking
I'm on the Trump 47 bus. I'm a Latino.
Listen, that means that
he
you're
has
okay.
me on that bus.
That means you're okay with racism.
No,
it doesn't
I'm
mean
not.
he's not racist.
Absolutely
We're
not.
going to leave it there.
She's right.
Thank you, Abel Maldonado. Appreciate it as well. Coming up next, talking.
Anna's absolutely 100% right. He's okay with it. He's okay with it. I love Anna. She's not messing with it, says one person. Yes, says Fo3 Nix SOL. Yes. He's okay with it. That's why I always say, just admit it and stop lying. Just admit that you're okay with the racism, you're okay with the xenophobia, you're okay with the homophobia, you're okay with all of it. You're okay. Anna does not mess around, Deborah. You're right. Motown boy for you. I love Anna. I love Anna. She's one of my dearest friends, and I owe her a phone call. She called me today to wanting to know what I thought about this issue. So look, guys, join us on YouTube. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on YouTube at The Don Lemon Show. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're watching us on TikTok, make sure you hit the heart button, and make sure you also follow us as well. Go to our YouTube page and check out our show. I think you'll like it. It is going to be a short show today, but I promise you tomorrow at 10 a.m. on our Hot Topic show that we'll talk about all of it. And I'll give you some behind the scenes of my book event here in Long Island. If you're in Oyster Bay or anywhere near, come on out. So like and subscribe, but I will see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. live here on the Don Lemon Show. Lemonheads, thank you for bearing with me. Sorry I had to do it from such a weird spot, but hey, we do what we can. All right? Have a great evening. Be safe. Bye. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And also, we'd love for you to become a subscriber. So hit that button, too. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. Eastern, so there's plenty of content for you to check out.